Welcome to your channel, Inexpensive Recipes. How to make the best shrimp soup. A delicious and easy recipe. When I think of comfort food, one dish that always comes to mind is a flavorful shrimp soup. There's something about a warm homemade soup that instantly soothes the soul, and adding shrimp makes it not only comforting, but also deliciously satisfying. Today, I want to share my favorite shrimp soup recipe that is perfect for any season. This recipe is easy to follow, packed with flavor, and uses simple ingredients you probably already have in your kitchen. Why you'll love this shrimp soup. This shrimp soup is truly a standout because it blends the savory flavors of shrimp with fresh vegetables, herbs, and spices. It's a dish that feels like a warm hug in a bowl. Whether you're making it for a quick weeknight dinner or a special occasion, this soup never fails to impress. What makes this shrimp soup extra special is the balance of flavors. The sweetness of the shrimp pairs perfectly with the slight tang of tomatoes, the depth of garlic and onions, and the fresh kick from herbs like cilantro or parsley. Plus, the spices add a subtle heat that warms you up from the inside out. Not to mention, shrimp is one of the quickest proteins to cook, making this recipe not only delicious, but also quick and easy. Ingredients for shrimp soup. For this shrimp soup recipe, I always like to use fresh, high-quality ingredients. Here's what you'll need. 1 pound of shrimp, peeled and deveined. I prefer medium to large shrimp for this recipe because they stay juicy and flavorful. You can use fresh or frozen shrimp. If using frozen, make sure to thaw them completely before cooking. 4 cups of vegetable or chicken broth. I often use homemade broth for added flavor, but store-bought works just fine. 1 can, 14.5 ounces, of diced tomatoes. This adds a bit of tang and richness to the soup. You can also use fresh tomatoes if you have them on hand. 1 onion, chopped finely. Onions add sweetness and depth to the soup. 4 cloves of garlic, minced. Garlic is a key ingredient in most of my savory dishes, and it really brings out the flavor of the shrimp. 1 bell pepper, chopped. I like using red or yellow bell peppers for their sweetness, but you can use any color you prefer. 1 carrot, chopped. Carrots add a subtle sweetness and are a great way to sneak in some extra veggies. 1 celery stalk, chopped. Celery adds crunch and a slightly bitter note that complements the sweetness of the shrimp. 1 teaspoon paprika for a smoky kick. 1 teaspoon cumin adds warmth and earthiness to the soup. Half a teaspoon cayenne pepper for a bit of heat. Adjust to your spice preference. 2 tablespoons olive oil for sautéing the veggies. Fresh herbs like cilantro or parsley, chopped for garnish. Salt and pepper to taste to enhance all the flavors. Preparing the shrimp for soup. Before we start cooking, let's talk about shrimp preparation. One of the most important steps in making shrimp soup is making sure your shrimp is properly prepped. Whether you're using fresh or frozen shrimp, you'll need to peel and devein them. If you're short on time, you can buy shrimp that's already prepped. I like to keep the tails on for presentation, but if you prefer, you can remove them. I also recommend rinsing the shrimp under cold water and patting them dry before adding them to the soup. This helps remove any lingering fishiness and ensures they cook evenly. Step-by-step guide to making shrimp soup. Now, let's dive into the cooking process. This shrimp soup recipe comes together in under 30 minutes, making it perfect for busy days when you still want something nourishing and homemade. Step 1. Sauté the aromatics. I start by heating the olive oil in a large pot over medium heat. Once the oil is shimmering, I add the chopped onions, garlic, bell pepper, carrot, and celery. Sauté the vegetables for about 5 to 7 minutes until they become soft and fragrant. This is where the base of the flavor comes from, so take your time here and let the vegetables sweat and release their natural sweetness. Step 2. Add spices and tomatoes. Next, I stir in the spices: paprika, cumin, and cayenne pepper. These spices give the soup a lovely warmth and depth. Once the spices are toasted, this takes about 30 seconds, I add the canned diced tomatoes along with their juices. The tomatoes bring a nice acidity that balances the sweetness of the shrimp and vegetables. Step 3. Pour in the broth. After the tomatoes have cooked for a couple of minutes, I pour in the broth. You can use vegetable broth for a lighter flavor or chicken broth for a heartier taste. Either way, this will form the base of the soup, so choose one that you like. I bring the soup to a simmer and let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes to allow all the flavors to meld together. Step 4. Cook the shrimp. Once the broth is simmering and the vegetables are tender, it's time to add the shrimp. Shrimp cook very quickly, so I usually just drop them into the soup and let them cook for about 3 to 4 minutes, or until they turn pink and opaque. Be careful not to overcook them, as shrimp can become rubbery if cooked for too long. Step 5. Taste and adjust seasoning. At this point, I always taste the soup and adjust the seasoning if needed. Add a bit more salt or pepper, or even an extra pinch of cayenne if you want more heat. If the soup tastes too acidic, a pinch of sugar can help balance it out. Step 6. Serve with fresh herbs. Once the shrimp are cooked through, I ladle the soup into bowls and garnish with freshly chopped cilantro or parsley. The fresh herbs add a burst of colour and a fresh herby flavour that complements the richness of the soup. Variations on shrimp soup. What I love about this shrimp soup recipe is how versatile it is. You can easily customize it based on your taste preferences or dietary needs. Here are a few variations you can try. Creamy shrimp soup. For a creamier version, you can add a splash of coconut milk or heavy cream after you've added the broth. The creaminess pairs wonderfully with the shrimp and gives the soup a luxurious texture. Shrimp and corn soup. Add a cup of corn kernels, either fresh, frozen, or canned, to the soup along with the broth. The sweetness of the corn complements the shrimp perfectly. Spicy shrimp soup. If you love spicy food, feel free to increase the amount of cayenne pepper or add a chopped jalapeno along with the other vegetables. Shrimp and rice soup. To make the soup heartier, stir in some cooked rice at the end. This turns it into more of a stew and makes it even more filling. Low-carb shrimp soup. For a low-carb version, you can skip the tomatoes and use a clear broth base with added vegetables like zucchini, spinach, or kale. Tips for making the best shrimp soup. Use fresh shrimp. If possible, use fresh shrimp for the best flavour. Frozen shrimp works too, but fresh shrimp will have a more delicate and sweeter flavour. Don't overcook the shrimp. Shrimp cook very quickly, so keep an eye on them. Once they turn pink and opaque, they're done. Make it ahead. This shrimp soup tastes even better the next day. You can make it ahead of time and store it in the fridge for up to 3 days. Just reheat it gently on the stove before serving. Adjust to taste. Always taste your soup before serving and adjust the seasoning as needed. A little extra salt, pepper or spice can make all the difference. Final thoughts. This shrimp soup recipe is one of my all-time favourites. It's flavourful, easy to make and so comforting. Whether you're looking for a quick dinner or something special to serve guests, this soup is sure to be a hit. The combination of shrimp, vegetables and warm spices makes it a satisfying meal on its own, but it's also versatile enough to pair with a side of crusty bread or a fresh salad. I hope you enjoy making this shrimp soup as much as I do. It's one of those recipes that always hits the spot, no matter the occasion.